Good afternoon and welcome to today's session on how to make digitalization work for MSME by United SMEs, sponsored by Blackbox Synersoft Technologies Private Limited. I am Prasanna, co-host of the event today. Let me introduce today's presenter, Mr. Jay Desai, and narrator, Mr. Vishal Shah. Mr. Jay is an alumnus of IIT Mumbai and NIMS Mumbai. He has a vast experience working with top electronics and retail brands like HP, Panasonic, LG Electronics, Reliance Retail, to name a few. He brings 2 decades of expertise in business development, business operations, sales, marketing, inventory management, leadership, and team building. Mr. Vishal Shah is CEO and co-founder of Synersoft Technologies. He is known as the seasoned technology stalwart, an inventor of specific patented technologies, a writer, a serial entrepreneur, an investor, and importantly, a go-for guy for MSMEs. We also have Mr. Sudhir Chaube, co-founder of Synersoft in the panel. He looks after the commercial aspect of our organization. In this webinar, topics covered will be how to make digitalization work for MSME, avenues of digitalization, challenges of digitalization, solutions to make digitalization work for MSME. If you have any questions while you watch this demonstration, kindly write in the question and answer tab in the bottom of your Zoom login. The panel will take up the question at the end of the session. Alternatively, in case you want to ask any question in the end of the session, you may please raise your hand and we shall activate your microphone to ask the question. Vishal sir, can you please take it ahead from here?
Thank you, Prasanna, for a very generous introduction as usual. Welcome, Jay, on this maiden webinar by United SMEs. So let me kick off this particular webinar with the punchline of United SME. We believe at United SME that all of us are smarter than each of us. So it actually conveys the sense of unity, and we as SME may be very small organization, we may not be very important to our large customers or large vendors. But when we get together, we have enormous demand to generate and we have enormous bargaining power. Based on this mission, United SME is set up. So as you all know that we are doing these activities of United SME free of cost. It is supported by Synersoft Technologies, which is the funding company for United SMEs, and we always thank Sudhirji for sponsoring this particular kind of activities. So most of you would know that Synersoft is funding United SME, and United SME is doing some very meaningful activities for MSMEs. And as a part of that, we have been organizing so many trainings for lower and middle level employees of MSMEs. This time we have organized this kind of session for the top management of the MSMEs. And digitization is a burning issue with every MSME. They have willingness to go for digital. They have also preparedness to spend money on digitization. But where to spend, how to spend, and how effectively it will deliver is always a question, and it brings a lot of uncertainty to the decision making. So we hope that in this webinar, we will be able to clarify on that. So before I request Jay to start on this webinar, I would like to run a poll so that we can profile the attendees and we can understand, the cross section of all the attendees, so that we can actually modify or adapt the content of this webinar accordingly. So Prasanna, can you please launch the poll? जैसे अभी हम स्क्रीन पर देख रहे हैं, the cross section is very encouraging. There are 47% of the attendees are either startup founder or first generation entrepreneur or second generation entrepreneur or top management team member, and 43% are middle level executive team members. We will try to make this webinar relevant for all of them. The top management would drive the digitization, and middle level executive team members are expected to implement or execute that digital strategy or digitization strategy. So we will start with a topic, and I would like to ask Jay, that before we understand, how to make digitization work for MSMEs, I would like to, just float a question that, MSMEs, we are all entrepreneurs and we face a lot of challenges. So if we understand what challenges we face in our day-to-day business, and then try to understand how digitization can help, deal with those challenges or overcome those challenges, this session would be more insightful for everyone. So I request you to, by your experience, what are the major challenges you have observed with while interacting with MSME owners, Jay?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Vishal, and I thank United SME for bringing me on board as a part of this webinar. As you rightly said, Mr. Vishal, MSME is a very important segment of our economy and and one of the biggest contributor. And together, we are also one of the biggest buyers of the industry. So, if we look at your question in the parallels of last 3 years, the kind of situation the entire world has faced, Indian MSME has in one line, they have the biggest challenge of optimizing their resources. So whatever resources were employed in the business prior to COVID period, a lot of things and industry have changed after the COVID period. And a lot of MSMEs are either facing a situation of being overstaffed, or a lot of MSMEs who have been striked with opportunities, sudden opportunities, they have been feeling that they are understaffed, as well as same thing applies for the resources. So it would be very interesting to understand if we try to bifurcate these challenges, how they unfold. See, traditionally, our MSMEs are owner-driven organizations. And if we talk about first-generation entrepreneurs, they are the ones who started their companies over the period of time, and they grew with the market, and they have seen the ups and downs of the market. But the owner was the primary driver of the engine, and they are the ones who have brought the company where they are. Now, in the current situation, what is happening that they have been very skeptical or not very confident of delegating very important aspects of business such as finance and material management and taking diversifications and all. So if we look at this particular thing, lack of delegation is one challenge which is obstructing the growth of MSME sector to a very large extent. And also finding the right manpower is the challenge for them. One more reason कि जहाँ पे हम ये देखते हैं कि डेलीगेशन क्यों नहीं हो पाता है इन फर्स्ट जनरेशन एंटरप्रेन्योर्स के अंदर, वो है जिसको मैं पर्सनली ऐसे बोलता हूँ कि फियर ऑफ अननोन. So if I try to delegate a particular job or an important aspect or important decision of my business to somebody down the line in my team, I am very not sure that they will be able to deliver it with the same kind of a quality and diligence or not. Though these team members are there with me for a longer period of time, I have generally used them for doing the jobs which are instructed by me. So in this scenario, fear of unknown is one thing which is driving this lack of delegation. Another important aspect is absence of business processes. So as we have discussed, these are the owner-driven organizations, and they are ups and downs, and they have taken decisions over the period of time. And because of that, there is a lot of communication gap within interdepartment. So MSME may now a lot of people have become advanced. They have tried to implement their processes, But within the department, for example, sales team is doing their job, accounts team is doing their job properly, and production is doing their job properly. But जहाँ पे इंटरडिपार्टमेंटल कोऑर्डिनेशन और कम्युनिकेशन की बात आती है, वहाँ पे हमने देखा है कि processes are not adequate, or processes have not been implemented, or have not been documented properly. So these interdepartmental gaps are causing the inefficiencies in the system, and which is one of the biggest challenge today when it comes to meeting the customer expectations, and exceeding customer expectations. Whose time pe an organization fails because of lack of processes between the departments. Another, this is according to me very important, the most important aspect today in MSME, the recruitment. जिस तरीके से recruitment MSME में अभी हो रहा है, a very large number of people are employed in MSME sector, and with the changing COVID period, post-COVID period scenario, where there is a ban on Chinese products and all, so there is a big opportunity for homegrown manufacturing companies and trading companies and exporters for the business. Now in this scenario they need more manpower. क्या हो रहा है कि फर्स्ट इज द नीड आइडेंटिफिकेशन, कि किसी भी सिचुएशन के अंदर अगर आपको एक नया एम्प्लॉय कंपनी के अंदर लेना है, तो क्या आपने नीड आइडेंटिफिकेशन किया है? जनरली जो हमने देखा है हायरिंग होती है, वो पर्सनल रेफरल बेसिस पे या परसेप्शन बेसिस पे ज्यादा होती है, एंड टू यू विल बी सरप्राइज इफ आई शेयर कि बहुत सारी हायरिंग बजट के ऊपर होती है, कि एक पर्टिकुलर पोजीशन के अंदर हमने कितना बजट फिक्स किया है, तो उसके अंदर जो कैंडिडेट हमको मिलते हैं उसमें से हम रिक्रूटमेंट कर लेते हैं, रादर देन क्रिएटिंग अ नीड और क्रिएटिंग अ रिक्वायरमेंट कि मुझे एग्जैक्टली ये प्रोफाइल का पर्सन मिले, तो ये काम बहुत अच्छे तरीके से हो सकता है कंपनी में. सो दिस इज वन ऑब्जर्वेशन व्हिच वी हैव हैड बाय वर्किंग विद MSMEs. Now this kind of hiring result in unproductive working, delays into the systems, and as I earlier said, it results in interdepartmental communication gaps and inefficiencies. Now important part is the training. So whatever manpower which is carried with the organization with its growth, this manpower loses their relevance of their skills with the over a period of time. So they need time to time training. In the absence of these kind of training, on the job trainings or departmental rotations, what happens that the skills of these particular manpower who have aged within the organization becomes irrelevant. Now with this untrained manpower, if it is retained with the by the organization for further period of time, it becomes further more productive, and it hampers the growth of the organization. Ambiguity on roles and responsibilities. This is another important challenge which is faced by people. Generally, MSME organizations are used to assign multiple jobs to a person to optimize their salary bill, or we can say wage bill. There is nothing wrong with that, but there has to be utmost clarity between two people that what kind of jobs are one is supposed to do, and what are the deliverables which are expected from the individual. In absence of roles and responsibilities, it is on the part of the employee also that they are suffering because of lack of expectations clarity, and at the end of the year when they are appraised, they suffer dejection and dissatisfaction within the organization, because they think that they have performed their job very nicely, whereas the expectation by the owners are not met. So एक बहुत जरूरत होती है हर एक एम्प्लॉय के लिए रोल्स एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी क्रिएट करने की, और उसको रेगुलर बेसिस पे रिव्यू करने का. सो दिस इज वन मोर चैलेंज विच इज देयर, बिकॉज जनरली ओनर्स को टाइम नहीं मिलता है एम्प्लॉयज के साथ इंटरेक्ट करने के लिए, या रदर हैंड से कि जो इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है रिव्यू करने के लिए. Unclear succession plan is another important thing. As the organization grows, it is not envisaged that over the period of time somebody needs to take the role of the decision maker in the organization, so that the one who has brought this organization to this level can look for diversification, expansion of business, and multifold growth. So unclear succession plan is another challenge for these organizations. And when all these put together are faced with fast changing business environment, लास्ट 2 या 3 साल में अगर हम देखें, जब से हमारी कंट्री में जीएसटी इंप्लीमेंट हुआ, वहां से लेके कोविड पीरियड, हमने 2 बार कोविड पीरियड सफर किया, और उसके बाद लास्ट 6-8 महीने से जिस तरीके का बिजनेस में हम ग्रोथ देख रहे हैं, so organization is continuously changing, technologies are being adopted, and because of these kind of challenges, when they are met with fast change business organizations, MSMEs further change the problem of not getting the required growth.
So yeah, I think while you were explaining this slide, I had a complete throwback of year 1999 when I started my business, and I think I would be very honest to admit that I have faced all these challenges, and many of these challenges were because of my own, or as an entrepreneur's own psychology and mindset. But yes, if we want to grow from micro to small and small to medium and medium to large, we also have to break free from our own mindset and our own notions. So yes, it is very well explained, and I think digitization can be a good tool to overcome. Just to add to this, many a times we see in the organization that sometimes we tend to think कि अगर मैं ये काम आधे घंटे में कर लेता हूँ, इसको किसी को मैं सिखाने जाऊंगा तो मेरा पूरा दिन लग जाएगा, तो हम मोस्टली वो आधे घंटे का शॉर्टकट ले लेते हैं, बट दैट शॉर्टकट इज ऑलवेज गेटिंग अस लॉस्ट ऑन अ वेरी वेरी एंडलेस पाथ. हर बार फिर वो एम्प्लॉय हमारे पर ही डिपेंड करता है, उसके पास कोई अथॉरिटी भी नहीं रहता है. So delegation is, I think, very important, and I would share that it has always worked. And when we see the leaders who have grown themselves from SME to very large enterprises, they have been very good at delegation. Another point which I would like to highlight, हम जब MSMEs को मिलते हैं ना, तो वो हमको बहुत प्राउडली बताते हैं कि ये भाई साहब हमारे यहाँ 20 साल से काम कर रहे हैं, ये भाई साहब हमारे साथ 25 साल से काम कर रहे हैं, कोई हमारे यहाँ 10 साल से काम कर रहा है. विद ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट टू दैट लॉयल्टी, समटाइम्स मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि बिकॉज सो मेनी पीपल दे आर वर्किंग फॉर अ वेरी वेरी लॉन्ग टाइम पीरियड, कभी कभी इसी की वजह से उनका प्रोसेस कभी डॉक्यूमेंट नहीं होता है. मतलब वो सब उसके दिमाग में ही रहता है और वही कर लेता है, और वो कर लेता है तो वो ऑलवेज वही काम करता रहता है, एंड दैट पर्सन कीप्स बिजी. तो डेलीगेशन इवन डज नॉट हैपन एट द सेकंड लेवल ऑल्सो. तीसरा एक ऑब्जर्वेशन जो मैंने देखा है ये है कि कभी कभी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में प्रोसेस डॉक्यूमेंटेशन नहीं होता है, नॉलेज डॉक्यूमेंटेशन नहीं होता है, तो जब कोई भी नया आदमी आता है तो वो नए आदमी को क्या सीखना है वो उसको नहीं पता होता है, और बाकी सब लोगों को उसको क्या सिखाना है वो भी पता नहीं होता है. तो कभी कभी बिकॉज देर इज नो वर्क फॉर दैट न्यू पर्सन फील्स वेरी इनसिक्योर्ड, एंड समटाइम्स ही हॉप्स द जॉब, एंड दैट इज द रीजन MSMEs में जब मिलते हैं तो बात करते हैं कि पहले की जमाने की बात अलग थी, अभी तो लोग आते हैं और बहुत जल्दी चले जाते हैं. तो कभी कभी वो इसीलिए भी चले जाते हैं बिकॉज दे डोंट फाइंड वेरी क्लियर role, responsibility, defined for themselves. So these are my 2 cents to these entire challenges. Just let us also understand what challenges you think you have always faced in your entrepreneurial journey. So Prasanna, I request you to run a poll. It would be very interesting for us to know about everyone just sharing what challenges they have faced or what challenges they are facing. तो जैसे हम स्क्रीन पर देख रहे हैं, 41% of the attendees believe that delegation is a challenge. 57% struggle with business process documentation, let me tell you, if you are struggling with business process documentation, let me tell you, it is a good sign, because you are growing and now you want to make sure that whatever mundane things you are doing, you want someone else to do it. So it is a very good sign. Only thing is we have to make sure that we get it done. Then hiring and training retention is again 48% of the people they face it is a challenge. 45% of the people face the challenge that there is no clarity on roles and responsibilities. 23% of the people are double mind in their succession plan. I know so many friends, who wait for 20-25 years for succession to, welcome their son or daughter on that seat. They don't allow their own second line of management to grow. I mean, and that's the reason sometimes they think that, they don't have anybody, but yes, we have to, if we want to run company professionally, we have to trust professionals. It is also about business development. 41% of the people face the challenge of business development. So I think, Jay, we are in the same boat, all of us, all 150 people who are right now seeing this webinar or watching this, we are in the same boat. And now we want to understand, how this particular challenges can be very well dealt with by digitization. So let us, I mean, we would like to know how, what is the potential of digitization, to overcome the challenges. So over to you, Jay.
Yeah, Mr. Vishal. See, it is very evident across the world and within our country, far more so, that digitization is entering every aspect of our life. And with the increasing penetration of internet and mobile phones, now we are unknowingly doing a lot of things digitally, which we used to do manually. Just for an example, day-to-day banking or personal banking things we have started doing digitally. When it came, we used to suspect the system that kya ho jayega. There are chances of me losing money and not. But over the period of time, people have started trusting the online banking also, mobile banking apps also, and Paytm wallets. I mean, a lot of wallets also. So we are doing a lot of things digitally without knowing. One important thing which we are doing digitally in business is digital marketing. So this is one thing which MSMEs have adopted a little earlier and used for their businesses. Now they are using for their businesses for a long time. But business operations is one part where yet a lot of there is a lot of scope for potential digitalization in business operations. So जहाँ पे हम operation की बात करते हैं, when you talk about operations, we think that there has to be an operation manager, or most of the time owner himself is involved into day-to-day operations. So here there is a lot of scope. I would say that the potential of digitalization starts from the resources, and one important resources is material management. ERPs at different levels for different industries and common ERPs for a lot of industries have already penetrated in the MSME market. But there are a lot of industries we need special kind of material management requirement. For example, textile, who have very complex kind of raw material to end product journey, and they need the softwares which can diligently track the entire movement of material in and out of their company multiple times, and all. There are multiple processes happening on the product and all. So there are a lot of industry areas where still material management is being done manually in the system. Now, how does it adversely affect your organization is that if you don't have track of your material, or your inventory is not right to the turnover of your proportion to the turnover of your business, then it is a cash currency. So you are deploying more working capital in your business, and ultimately it results into overheads. So material management is the first thing where we have to look at for digitalization. There are standard ERP softwares, very sophisticated ERPs are available. And nowadays in India, there are a lot of software companies who are making local or industry specific ERPs to help the MSME sector. So that is one bigger scope. Another important, very important aspect is and resource in the business is the manpower. And I would say it is the most, because the way business happens in India, is more on a relationship basis. It is more on one-to-one personal basis. It is more on the basis of personal trust. So people are very essential part of our businesses, and they are irreplaceable. So, but over the period of time, it becomes very important that can I track my people digitally, or are there any tools which tell me that what is the quantum of work lying in my organization and how much of that work is being done on daily basis, or when my sales team uh, goes to the market, can I know how many counters they are visiting every day? What is their productivity? And do I have I employed right time of kind of sales team which can meet my business targets? So there are a lot of questions which can be answered here. And when it comes to people, I will touch upon three areas. One is the lead management, another is the sales management, and a third is the manpower management. We and a lot of awareness is now spreading towards MSMEs, and people are working on digital tools, WhatsApp marketing tools, social media marketing tools, and generating leads. But once these leads are generated, a lot of MSMEs are present on trading platforms also. So once these leads are generated and inquiries have come to the organization, when they are given to the sales team, we found and many a times that they are not being followed up diligently. There are longer sales cycles in some industry. There are shorter and quick sales cycles in other industry. So where the sales cycles are long, especially in B2B businesses, to engage a prospect lead is a very difficult task for the sales team. And if it is not done diligently, it is not done in a professional manner, if it is not done properly and day to day executed, then you are tend to lose these leads to your competitors. And again, one ends up in spending money on marketing and generating the leads. So lead management is very important aspect in a business. And there are CRMs and software which are available, which help you to track every stage of your lead, which help you to track every activity your sales team is doing on a particular lead. It helps you to track the funnel. It helps you to predict what is the potential realization period for a particular lead, and you can plan your resources accordingly. So lead management is one aspect. Another thing is the sales management. Now, when we say talk about sales management, what are the aspects which are involved? The biggest aspect is the connection of sales team target to business planning. So the owners are doing, MSME leaders are doing their business planning, that from the so and so turnover, I want to reach a particular amount of turnover in this year and in next 3 years. But have they been linked with the sales team target? And is the sales team working on that target, or are their daily activities are designed in such a fashion that those daily activities lead to achievement of these targets? So to track them, to help the sales managers, people's manager track their team properly, guide them on closure of the sales. These tools help them to devise the sales team target into the system or into a particular software, then give them the route plans, then track their daily route plan visits and cold callings or whatsoever they have done during the daytime. Review them with a particular data rather than reviewing them on the perception basis. So review is a very strong mechanism which can help grow the business. It's a proven tool, but the review which are done in the light of data are much more productive rather than the reviews which are done on the personal and perception basis. So apart from that, the complete journey of your sales team can be tracked through these kind of digital platforms. These kind of platforms are also helping sales teams to plan their visits, to follow up with their dealers or distributors or B2B customers on diligent basis. It also helps them to report their expenses, claim their expenses, and do the leave management and all. So so these tools help digitalize a lot of these processes which we have been otherwise doing manually. When we talk about manpower management, sales management is included into that. But overall manpower, I mean the field team as well as the office team, can they be tracked digitally on a single platform? The answer is yes. There are so many tools available in the market, from international tools, very sophisticated tools, to very basic tools which can be very easily implemented and adopted within an MSME sphere. So these kind of tools, there are modules like task management, So where tasks can be given between the department, tasks can be given from the owner to the subordinates, and these tasks can be tracked. And this is also exactly when we talk about the accountability or interdepartmental communication gaps. So these are the gaps which can be bridged with this kind of software, so this kind of digital adaptation. Another important thing is data management. There are a lot of industries for whom data is very, very important. Pharma is one industry where their research data and their customer data is very, very important. Textile is another industry where their design data is, their IP. Design data is the key on the basis of which they can rule the market. So, and there are a lot of other, IT is another industry where data is very important. So, protection of this kind of data, real-time availability and reproduction of the data from their storages, and overall communicate to make it communication faster and decision making better. Protection and management of this data is very, very important, and now a lot of tools are available which can help you to do that. When we talk about communication within the organization, these tools, as I have explained, they help them to communicate with timelines, deadlines, and accountability within the organization, also with the customers outside. So there are applications available which can provide you customer login. So where your customers can log in into your system and see by themselves relevant data which you have made them, which made available for them. And this saves for this saves a bigger communication gap. Real-time visibility of their data is available with the customer. They can take their own decisions of buying from your company in time to time, and it also helps to helps your teams to manage and the customer better and provide a better customer service. So plus, if we add to that the email solution, so still we have observed that a lot of people are working with by not having their own domains and secure email management systems. So first of all, having this kind of systems gives your organization an identity and a credibility that this is the organization which has its own domain. They meant to communicate with us through their own domain IDs and email addresses. Apart from that, in today's time, a website is our second office, or I would say website is our first office, because before we could reach our customer, we can simply send the link of our websites to the customers and they can just go to the website, and whatever you put there in terms of your products or services or your USPs, your achievements, everything can be seen and reviewed by the customer or potential customers before they actually come to you. So having a properly made website is a very important requirement of today's business, and more so in the MSME sector. Along with that, social media presence is another thing. There is a lot of demystification which requires to be done when we talk about social media presence of a particular company, and it's a very detailed subject. But companies, I would say, that must look for very targeted and cost-effective social media solutions. So in nutshell, right from material management to lead management or people management, or having the identity of the company, digital identity of the company, there are a lot of potential for digitization in MSME in business operations.
Yeah, so very well explained. I think this raises a lot of expectations from digitization, because it sounds that it can solve most of the challenges if it is done in the right way. Just to give you an example case study, I have worked with a company which is into retail business of luxury watches. So each piece of that luxury watch would cost 10 lakh, 15 lakh, 20 lakhs. And let's say they have around 28 stores across India. And when I got introduced to them, they were using some billing software which was installed in a very distributed manner at each and every store, and each and every store was on its own. So I explained to them that you can really optimize your inventory holding. You are holding one piece of 2 lakh rupees, 10 lakhs rupees, 50 lakhs of rupees watch, and you are holding the same piece at different places. Just because you do not have a transparency that you have this particular watch in the stock and not. So I recommended that they should digitize their ERP system so that everything is central and all the stores are connected with each other. And whenever there is a stock update, it gets updated everywhere. And I think it was acknowledged that average stock holding was approximately 36 crore before this digitization effort. And after that, they confirmed that, they could do away with entire stock, and just their average holding was approximately 15 crore of stock. So that actually saved a lot of cost on interest they were paying to the bank for holding that stock, and also the risk of obsolescence of that particular unit model. In fashion industry, things become obsoleted so fast, so better to hold in minimum numbers. Another observation, whenever I interact with most of the SME owners, their lead management and customer relationship management happens on Excel. And that Excel is reset when the employee leaves the organization. That Excel goes away with the employee, and then everything is again. They participate in many trade fairs. They invest a lot of money in generating the leads, but at the same time their leads are not organized, and because of that they are not able to exploit the best they could get from those leads. Third thing is, of course, data management, which is, of course, my subject. I'm not going to take much time, but yes, MSMEs, when they digitize, they need to understand that they are going to depend on digital data. They are going to depend on data. Their data would be in digital form, maybe their designs, drawings, customer data, HR data, uh, IPR, business information, tender information, everything will be digitized. So they have to make sure that their data management practices are such that that data is not lost. If that data is lost, they would lose business continuity. And of course, that data should not be leaked or stolen, because MSMEs sign many non-disclosure agreements. They sign, many technology exchange agreements with their vendors or customers, where they cannot default, or maybe their employees might take away their data, or competitors might exploit that data. So it is also something very important to understand. And the last point which I have heard is about social media. Yes, Jay, it is very important to go for targeted. MSMEs do not have unlimited budgets, and Google has unlimited appetite to, gulp whatever budget you have. So yes, you have to be very targeted. You have to be very smart and intelligent when you are getting into digital. Otherwise, you will just squander money, but you will not get anything out of it. Yeah, so having understood this potential of digitization to overcome the challenges, I would again like to request all the people to give their inputs. What is important for them, what they have attempted to implement, at what stage they are implementing. So Prasanna, can we launch the poll so that we can understand their state of digitization? So as we see here, material management, around 30% of the people, they think that they are good at it. Lead management, 36 people, very heartening to know. Sales management, 46%, very good. 14% on manpower management. Yes, this is a serious challenge and not easy to get rid of. Communication and external, 30% of the people think that they've done well. Social media marketing, 46% good. Another question was, where are we struggling? So material management, 50% of the people are struggling in material management, 21% struggling in lead management, 25% in sales management, 46% in manpower management, 36% in data management, communication and external 18% are struggling, and social media 21% are struggling. So yes, these are the challenges, and this is the reality of business. And we have to, be innovative and, persistent in getting over these challenges. So now I have very interesting point to drive out, Jai. We understand that digitization is a solution of so many challenges, but there could be challenges while digitization. We want to overcome certain challenges, but while we are trying to overcome those challenges by digitizing our business, uh, we face a lot of challenges in digitization itself. Okay, so we would like to know about what kind of challenges are faced, and what should MSMEs do, to make sure that they are not falling for those challenges or those mistakes.
Yeah, Mr. Vishal, as you rightly said, any change is not easy, and it takes time to happen anywhere in our life also, as well as the organization also. So we should not think that the solution which appears in front of us will be very easy to implement in the organization, because when we are saying that people are our biggest resource, so changing the behavior and habit of people is one of the biggest area where every company or every leader has to work when we are talking about adopting digital solutions to their current business problems and in the growth journey. Now, here I would like to mention first point, which is inability to sense the need. So many a times it happens that the time passes, time हाथ से निकल जाता है. That and the need has not been sensed by the organization. That look, here I have reached, and I have plateaued in the journey of my growth, and now is the time to take help of any tool to make my business go on autopilot and remove the inefficiencies, and then diversify or make the same business grow multifold or something like that. So inability to sense the need. To further simplify it, I would say that the leaders are involved and busy so much into the day-to-day business operations that this thing don't come to their mind, or even if somebody suggests them, then it is brushed aside by saying that no, we don't have the bandwidth in our system, or we don't have the bandwidth in our organization right now, and that right now never comes. So this is one important area. Another important area is employee resistance, and feeling that employee resistance even before actually you adopted any kind of solution. So these are the two different things, and the second one precedes the first one, that before you adopt any software or tool, before you try to implement in your organization, the thought process of a leadership team, or the apprehension of the leadership team, that if a particular tool or anything which will be brought to the organization, it will force their teams and manpower to go out of their comfort zone, change their ways, the way they are doing their work and all, and then there can be a steep resistance from the employees, and then they keep aside the idea of adopting such tools. So employee resistance, as I said, that it is failed much before, even in conceptualization phase, the employee resistance is faced. The ones who overcome this and try to implement this kind of solutions in their company are faced with very steep employee resistance, or by a segment of employees who will try to resist as much that as they can. This is our experience, and we have seen in some of the companies. I would just like to give an example here, that as you talked about data protection, we know one company in textile where they realized that whatever designs they were creating, they were trying to dominate the market with their designs. But their designs are vulnerable when the designs move out for printing. The designs are leaked, and the copies are being made, and thousands of meters of fabric was being produced and sold in the market on their own design. And some of the things which would come back to them is a very interesting thing, that whatever design they print by themselves sent to market, it comes as a requirement from completely different segment of the market to them, that we want, can you print this kind of things for us with little bit modification and all. So this is a complete IP right violation, and the owner realized. They identified a solution, and when they tried to implement, there was a steep resistance only by them. So they had a team of around 20 people, but 2 people resisted it very sharply. First, they tried to create the fear psychosis within the team, that if such a thing, and I know that this thing was adopted in so and so company, and that they had to go back to their previous ways because these things never help, and all those things they tried to create. Second, when this was not, given the hit by the owner, and the owner was very committed that I know what I'm doing. Then they further started, when the solution was implemented, they started complaining about the software or the technology, that because of this technology we are facing problem, our work is getting slowed and all. These things look very simple or insignificant in listening to, but it happened in your own organization, it is very painful to overcome them. So employee resistance is one area, and then there are solutions on how to overcome this kind of employee resistance, and somehow somewhere owner has to supersede and put their foot down and get the things done. Another thing is mindset versus capability. This works both the way, with the leadership team of MSME as well as the employees. So leadership team. So anything, there was that story from Panchtantra where a mother takes their child to a saint and saying that he needs a lot of sugar. So please have him get rid of the sugar, and the saint asks him to come back after 15 days. And this story is known to everybody. So it is the thing that the saint said, that first I had to get rid of my habit of eating sugar, and then I can tell somebody else not to do that. So same way, if you want to bring any change in the organization, it has to start from the top. And so mindset of the leadership team has to be such that they are going to live this change every day, and that is how the change will come in the company. Employees mindset, employees, I see these are our resources, but ultimately they are their vision is limited towards their up to their 9 to 5 jobs. Okay, so anything this kind of change which is brought in the company is seen as an unwarranted thing which is coming to the company, and employees don't have that vision which the owners have, and then there is this mindset versus, though they are capable, though they can do things, once they are trained, they don't want to adopt. That is the biggest problem of the mindset, and it hampers the plan for the change to be brought. Fear of unknown is, again, it works both the ways, that the leadership team, they don't know, because they don't, if they have not tried anything like this before, they have this fear of unknown, that whether it will work, whether my team which is giving me result, it will stay with me, or it will leave, they will leave my organization. These kind of fears are driving, and they are not able to decide whether to adopt for digitization or not. On the employee side, the general thinking is that such kind of technology adopted, once they are adopted by the organization, then there will be requirement of lesser number of people, and then they will lose their job and this kind of insecurities. So in the change management process, these kind of counselings are to be done, that why these things are to be implemented in the company. This is one biggest area that when we talk about finances, investments are misunderstood as expenditure. So one investment done in the right time, it is saved that a stitch in time saves 9. So in the right time of your plateau period or in your stagnancy, this kind of adaptations can take your company to multiple growth. But it should not be seen as investment. It has to be, it should be seen as investment, not as an expenditure. So it is very important mindset to be developed by the leadership of the MSMEs. Acceptance of inefficiency. This is very big problem in India, and we are the people who get adjusted to any kind of circumstances. We are the people who get adjusted to any kind of situation. So we get adjusted to inefficiency also. We become tolerant of inefficiencies. We become tolerant of unproductive business processes and all. So this mindset has to be changed. If any MSME wants to grow, they have to put their foot down and say that no unproductive thing. I want efficiency in my business, and if there is efficiency in the business, it is 100% guaranteed that they will grow. Unclear future vision, and we in the earlier challenges that we saw that unclear succession plan. These two things are same, and or even go hand in glove. That hence there is no proper succession planning, then there is no future visioning. So we have come across certain organizations whose owners are at the age of around say 55 or 57, and then they are in this dilemma that do I expand my business or do I don't expand my business, because they are not sure whether the second generation is coming to their company and taking the seat, or they are planning to do something else. So these kind of uncertainties are making the vision blurred for the growth for MSME segment, and then they refrain from investing in any kind of technologies and digitalization. And a lack of willingness to change the ecosystem. This is a bit of a negative point, but it prevails everywhere, and we are people, so we are also target of that. So these are basically the challenges which will be faced during digitization. Yes, Mr. Vishal.
Yeah, so when we want to carry out entire digitization, we need to be sensitive to these challenges. We need to make sure that we are not trapped while dealing with these challenges. Two things I want to add to this. See, one more challenge which I have observed in the journey of digitization of MSME is a generation gap, generation gap between the first generation, second generation, and third generation of the management team itself. So many a times we observe that the third generation or second generation of MSME, they are foreign educated young people. They join the business and they have to deal with their father, uncles, and then they understand digitization because they have studied that. Many of them are also qualified in IT systems and all. When they try to drive such digitization process, most of the times they face resistance from their earlier generation. They say that okay, सब चल रहा है, ठीक चल रहा है, ये सब क्यों करना है, या फिर आप हमेशा खर्चा करने की ही बात करते हो, पहले थोड़ा कमा के दिखाओ, ये है वो है. So all these things are also, this is one more challenge between which is a generation gap. और दूसरा एक चैलेंज जो मैंने ऑब्जर्व किया हुआ है कि मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम जब डिजिटाइजेशन के लिए कोई भी सॉफ्टवेयर सॉल्यूशन, हार्डवेयर सॉल्यूशन का कुछ भी इवेल्युएशन होता है, तो समटाइम्स द एंटरप्रेन्योर और द मैनेजमेंट दे आर सो rigid about the customizations required. मैं बहुत बार ऐसा देखता हूँ कि जब डिजिटाइजेशन करने के लिए जाते हैं और बहुत स्टैंडर्ड CRM सिस्टम इंप्लीमेंट करते हैं, बहुत स्टैंडर्ड ERP सिस्टम इंप्लीमेंट करते हैं, तो मैनेजमेंट समटाइम्स दे बिकम सो रिजिड कि नहीं, मुझे तो ऐसे ही करना है, मुझे आप इतना करके दीजिए. सो दैट इंक्रीज द कॉस्ट. वो करने वाला तो करके देगा, वो पैसा चार्ज करेगा, लेकिन उसकी वजह से वो प्रोजेक्ट इतना लंबा खींच जाता है कि पीपल लैक मोटिवेशन इन परस्यूइंग इट फर्दर, एंड मेनी अ टाइम्स ERP इज अ फेलियर इन मेनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, और बाद में वो वापस टैली पे या ऐसे कोई अकाउंटिंग सिस्टम पे चले जाते हैं. सो दीज आर द टू थिंग्स व्हिच आई फील दैट जनरेशन गैप इज आल्सो वन प्रॉब्लम व्हाइल डिजिटाइजेशन. एंड सेकंड इज ऑफ कोर्स एंटरप्रेन्योर हैज टू trust the implementation agency which is implementing some standard solution which is used by thousands of organizations, and they need to change also कि अगर मैं इस तरह से देखता हूँ तो ये इस तरह से देखते हैं. If the result is same, I should not expect customization. So it will be very interesting to know what you all feel about the challenges of digitization. We will slightly overshoot this webinar for 10-15 minutes, but yes, there are some important things coming up. So Prasanna, quickly 30 second के लिए ये poll run कर दीजिए so that we save 30 second. Yeah, so on the screen, which we are seeing is 43% feel that inability to sense the need is a challenge. 47% people feel employee resistance is a challenge. Mindset versus capability is a challenge for 37%. Fear of unknown is a challenge for 43%. Investment misunderstood as expenses is the challenge for 40%. Acceptance of inefficiency as a cost for 30%. Clarity on future vision is again a challenge for 47% of the people, and lack of willingness to change ecosystem is also the challenge for 30% people. It is always good when we know about our challenges, when we know about our limitation, because this is the first step to identify them and overcome that. So now quickly जय एक बार हम समराइज कर लेते हैं कि अगर कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन डिजिटाइजेशन करता है तो उनको क्या मतलब बेनिफिट्स एक्सपेक्ट करने चाहिए. वी विल हैव अ क्विक रन ऑन दैट एंड देन we'll start on the question answer session. So Jay, if we can do it quickly, what are the potential benefits of digitization?
Yes. See, when we talk about managing the business, the biggest thing is decision making. So a business must do everything which makes the decision making very, very clear, and decisions being taken in the light of data and taken in the time. Okay, so the biggest benefit, I would say, that this kind of digitization is decision making. Now, there are a lot of aspects to that. One is important thing is better visibility on resource utilization. I'll just give some example that you have visibility of how much work is distributed to which segment of your company in terms of manpower. Then you know how much manpower is required. Now, if there are IT companies, or if they are manufacturing companies, or sales-based organizations, or trading organizations, for example, it is very important to know that do I have right manpower and what kind of manpower I require. Another thing is the material. So the material cycle, right from raw material to the material which is going to the market and to the end customer. So if that kind of visibility is created, you know what kind of inventory is lying in the market, it becomes very easy for you to plan your raw material cycles. And we know that all the FMCG companies and all the national MNC companies and all are working on the same principle. They have visibility of the material lying in the market or the product set lying in the market. So visibility of your resources, and another important visibility of your finance in terms of the other aspects of the finance coming to you as a dashboard. When we talked about that investment misunderstanding of as expenditure, I would say, Mr. Vishal here, that now a lot of companies are moving to solution companies are moving to SaaS models. So which are per month basis. So it helps the MSME segment to not put an entire working capital on the same time in these kind of solutions. And there are a lot of BI solutions available in the market. So where those business intelligence solutions, what they do, they pull out data from your own ERP or Tally. They do the dashboarding as per your requirement, and then they pop up on your mobile phone or your laptop screen every now and then, and you can very easily take decisions of your business on the basis of that. Better compliance of processes. So as we discussed, that one thing which hampers the growth of the business is interdepartmental gaps and process gaps between the customer and the company. So these are the things. So better compliance of the processes. If you want something to be done, you can get it done at any cost. There will be accountability in your system. It is the biggest benefit. Easy access to MIS. So a lot of information, as I said, will be on your fingertips. You can have your daily reports, and then everything that you do, the entire day that you work as a business leader or the owner, it will be based on data rather than working on your perceptions. Meaningful management control systems. So what kind of decision, if you are the evolved owner of the business, you want to do a lot of things for your employee, but you don't know where to start. So this kind of control systems can help you to make decisions on your machinery and production, and a lot of aspects. Now IoT has worked a lot, so you can get on your fingertips what kind of requirement. For example, if somebody has a fleet of vehicles, then you can get on your fingertips which of my vehicles are due for insurance, which type of my vehicles are due for maintenance, and so on. Sustained change management. So when we talk about better compliance of processes and sustained change management, these go hand in glove. We have seen a lot of companies who say that we try to bring in certain change, but 2, 3, 4 months or 6 months, people work in the direction, and again that they get back to their own thing, old way of working. So with digital tools adoption, you can sustain the change which you want to bring into the organization, and delegate with objectivity and transparency. I would add to this point that you can plan as a business leader, you can plan phase-wise delegation. So if you have not delegated, if you are a first generation entrepreneur and you have never delegated the decision making of your company to someone else, then with this, the help of these kind of tools, you can plan phase by delegation. You will have better visibility and transparency and objectivity when you delegate to someone else. And improve productivity. This is the most important point, that the business which is productive is here to grow. So these are the benefits, and they are endless, Mr. Vishal, but paucity of time, we will restrict ourselves to this.
Yeah, so overall we got a very good idea. लेकिन as a businessman, सब लोग जो attend कर रहे हैं सब businessman है, तो एक मतलब सबको एक काम की बात, सबको एक question होता है कि ये सब समझ लिया, ज्ञान ले लिया, ट्राई भी किया, अंदर अंदर एम्प्लॉइज को मोटिवेट किया डिजिटाइजेशन करने के लिए, सब कुछ किया, लेकिन फिर भी चैलेंजेस आ रही है, वी आर नॉट मूविंग अहेड एज एक्सपेक्टेड. तो इज देयर एनीथिंग कि कोई एक्सटर्नल हेल्प लेकर, कोई अकाउंटेबिलिटी लेकर, स्ट्रेटेजी प्लानिंग इज वन थिंग, और इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, टेकिंग पेन्स टू इम्प्लीमेंट द थिंग्स ऑन द ग्राउंड, उसके लिए भी मतलब यू नीड समवन हु कैन ड्राइव दैट, हु कैन इंटरफेस बिटवीन द मैनेजमेंट एंड द एम्प्लॉइज एंड मेक श्योर दैट दैट डिजिटाइजेशन इज सक्सेसफुल. तो वो एक अकाउंटेबिलिटी से काम करने का एक अभी नया, जैसे अभी तक हम लोग कंसल्टिंग की बात करते थे, तो लेट्स से हमने मैकेंजी को हायर किया तो वो एक अच्छा स्ट्रेटेजिक प्लान बना के दे देगा, लेकिन बाद में बताएगा कि आप अपने हिसाब से इम्प्लीमेंट करो. तो नाउ आई थिंक दैट देयर इज अनदर जेनर ऑफ कंसल्टिंग, कि जिसमें लोग बताते कि ओके प्लान एक बार हो गया, अभी हम आपको इम्प्लीमेंट करके भी देंगे, एंड यू हैव टू शेयर लॉट ऑफ अथॉरिटी विद देम. तो व्हाट डू यू से जय, ये आपको लगता है कि ये पॉसिबल है?
Yes, Mr. Vishal, it is very much possible, and people must adopt this kind of consulting. I would say that the starting point of digitalization, okay, is having an assessment done for your company and the need identification. So they can take external help, get assessment done, what kind of tools can be useful, and before adopting these tools, they should form their internal processes with external help and try to implement, with the external help. The consultants who can come to your company, participative consulting it is called, so they can company, so we can go there and help them to implement. So this kind of consulting works more with the teams of the company rather than with the owner.
So I think it is a very good idea that sometimes top management is not able to freely communicate certain things, many a times they are not able to give bitter pills to their teams, for their own good. So I think it is a very good idea, and let me inform everyone that United SMEs have such associated consultants, who can understand your plan, who can understand your business objective, and they can give you a time frame in which those business objectives, in achievement of that business objective, whatever strategy is to be implemented, whatever change it needs to bring in your team, whatever trainings are to be done, whatever reporting is to be done, whatever dashboard is to be designed, that can be done. So this is a new genre of consulting and advisory, and United SME has identified this need, and it would be happy to help SMEs with such services also. We have a question from Radhika. What is the difference between digitalization and digital transformation? Jay, if you want to take this.
Digitalization and digital transformation, I would say they are one or the same, how we want to frame, but I would say appropriate word will be digital transformation, because you are transforming your organization and taking in the help of digital platforms.
Right. And Radhika is asking, can we get the recording of this session? Yes, of course, you will get the recording of this session. Prasanna will, send across, as well as you can go to unitedsmes.in website. Prasanna, if you can type it in the chat, where in the event part, recording will be uploaded uploaded in 2-3 days time. Yeah, any other questions? You can please put your question in the question answer palette, or you can raise your hand. We can unmute you and you can interact with us. We have overshot this time, but yeah, thank you, Radhika. Yeah, time was less but informative. Yeah, we would be organizing such webinars. We have understood that today we try to cover much material, much content. But yes, I hope at least it was insightful for. Yeah, any more questions? We can, attend a question for next 2 minutes. After that, I request. Yeah, would Ganesh Kamath is asking, would the United SME consultants identify the tools and platforms for digitization or limit only to the processes? It will be all, United SME. See, let me explain the concept of United SME. Let's say, for example, I'm digressing from the topic. Let's say you want to have digital marketing for your company. You are 100% sure that you cannot hire a full-time digital marketing team because of the scale and need of your company. You cannot hire a digital marketing team for, let's say, with a graphic designer, then content writer, then a Google specialist, then Facebook specialist. You cannot hire them, but yes, you can hire them part-time. You can pay for their hours. So United SME is a consortium of consultants, So there you get the consultants on the management practices, you get consultants on the IT practices, and those consultants coordinate with each other, work together with each other so that your needs are understood by the management practice consultant. Then various options are evaluated by the IT practice consultants, and then advantages and disadvantages, or maybe ROI, or maybe evaluation is submitted to management practice with management of the customer or member of United SME, and then the right decision is taken. So it is not like United SME will promote only one ERP or only one CRM. It is not like that. They will understand, they will identify, and the companies will deal directly with the ERP vendors or CRM vendors or the tools that are required. Arvindra, you are most welcome. Durgesh, any ERP application for insurance broker you have designed? We don't design anything, we are not a software company. But yes, in case you want to understand what is a suitable ERP, we can understand your requirements, by roping in management practitioners, and then they can chart out the requirements, and then they can identify the ERP application, understanding your budget, cost of ownership, and whatever features you are getting. So yes, this can be done. You can always connect with us offline for this. Yeah, any other question, or we wind up today's session? Yeah, Prasanna, we can conclude the session for today.
Thank you, Jay sir, Vishal sir, for such an interesting, insightful, and interactive session on digitalization. So, dear sir, we would like to have the concluding remarks for the event.
Yes, Prasanna. Thank you, Mr. Jay. Thank you, Vishalji, for conducting this session. And this session is benefiting and giving knowledge to a lot of SME entrepreneurs. We would love to continue this series and want to continue in a different manner and on different topics that can help our SME customers. And what we can do is we can keep contacting the people who are more interested, the people who have shown interest on different questions that they have asked. They can connect to Prasanna on email if they have very specific requirements where we can help them. With this, we can conclude this session, and we hope everybody enjoyed, and we will keep this spirit in the interest of the fraternity. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all. Please fill up the survey form as soon as you log out. It will help us make it better. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jai. Thank you so much.
Mr. Vishal, thank you, Mr. Vishal and United SME, and thank you all the participants for